Hello, everybody. This is Jimmy, and you're reading with Jimmy. Today, we're going to do a 10-minute breakdown of one of the most fascinating stories I've ever read called A Piece of String. This is by Guy de Maupassant, and I subtitled it Reputation Lies and the Weight of a Simple Truth. Let's get started. Welcome, everybody. These are my quick takes. What if I told you that a simple act, bending down to pick up a piece of string, yes, that's the simple act, could ruin a man's life? Well, that's the piece of string story in a nutshell by Guy de Maupassant. And it's how one small observation, intentional or not, can destroy a reputation. Was Mr. Hartshorn an innocent victim of circumstance, or did his own paranoia help seal his fate? Did Mr. Meldane lie? Meldane? Well, welcome to my quick takes, where we'll take 10 minutes and break this beautiful story down, and we're going to unravel a tragic tale of honor, deception, and the weight of a simple action. Ready? So what's the story? Well, the setting is Gotterville. It's a small village in France, and during a bustling market day. And the villagers gathered, they're shopping, they're talking, catching up on gossip, because in a small town, everyone knows everyone else's business. The incident, Maitre Hartshorn, an old peasant, notices a piece of string on the ground and thinking this might be useful someday. He bends down to pick it up, and his longtime rival, Mr. Meldane, sees him doing that. So later, there's a wallet that's filled with money, and it's reported missing. So Meldane accuses Hartshorn that he saw him picking up something earlier. Hartshorn protests, saying, "It was just a piece of string, darn it." Despite the wallet being found the next day in return, no one believes Hartshorn. You got to read the story to figure that out. He's got this reputation, right? He becomes obsessed with proving his innocence. He tells the story over and over. It wasn't me. But his constant protests just make people more suspicious, right? "Methinks thou protest too much" is a great Shakespearean line. In any case, the tragic ending, the relentless doubt and mockery from the villagers, breaks him down, and Hartshorn falls ill and he dies, still muttering, "A piece of string, a little piece of string." Poor guy. So, did he die of sickness or sheer heartbreak? We don't know. So what's the big deal? Well, through his third-person narrator, Maupassant doesn't just write stories, he dissects human nature. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. For example, the fragility of a reputation, right? Reputations, one moment of everything, reputations can be ruined by a lie. Just look around what's going on today. So a lifetime of honesty, theoretically, although he had a reputation, well, you got to read the story with me, can be ruined in a single moment, not by guilt, but by perception. So you could be innocent, but the perception perceives you as doing this, right? You know what we're talking about. Paranoia and pride. Hartshorn's downfall isn't just the accusation of him taking that wallet, which he never did. It's his obsessive need to clear his name. He should have been one and done. When you read the story with me, these are the questions we'll explore, especially in the analysis. And the power of gossip. In small communities, it doesn't matter if you live in Chicago or New York, you live in a small community. Sometimes the truth doesn't matter, does it? You know what I'm talking about. What people believe sometimes to be all that counts. So Maupassant doesn't just need villains in his stories. Society itself has all the villains you might need. So what are a few of the themes? The power of perception. Hartshorn is innocent, but once suspicion is planted, it can never be erased. Or can it? One of my favorite saying is one moment of weakness and everything is lost. The theory and the practice. Albert Camus said that, right? Maybe he protested too much. Read the story with me. Social judgment. People love to believe the worst about others, don't they? Oh, these people. Even when there's no real evidence. Why is that? And that happens to all of us. I can tell you stories. The tragic absurdity of life. A man dies not because he did something wrong, but because he couldn't prove that he was right. That's called irony. Look at the illustration there. Is that a 9 or a 6? Perception sometimes means everything. So this is a dark, ironic, and perhaps an all too real look at how society treats people. Just look around yourself today, ladies and gentlemen, and ask yourself what's going on. Perception or reality? So why the heck does this story matter today? Why does a 19th century story about a darn piece of string matter? Well, let me give you some reasons. False accusations still ruin lives. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you ever been accused falsely and then tried to defend yourself? And even after you prove you're innocent, there's always that little doubt. Well, was that hanging true? That's why you got to be careful of social media. So whether it's in the courtroom or social media, once someone is labeled a liar, a thief, or worse, it sticks. For some reason, it sticks. Even if they're proved innocent, it sticks, doesn't it? There's always that doubt. Because gossip is still powerful, isn't it? Me, right? Gossip. Rumors spread faster than the truth, and the damage done cannot always be undone. Do you understand that? Well, Jimmy, doesn't time heal all wounds? Well, it kind of does, but some wounds fester, and in this case, it festered in his mind more than other people's. You'll read the story with me. Justice isn't always about the facts. Public perception often wins over the truth, doesn't it? And once someone is judged, they rarely get a second chance. I don't want to use any examples today, but if you're alive, I don't know when you're reading this, but when you're alive, there's, especially in politics, there's a guy that got hammered and he's still there. Isn't this interesting? And we all fear being misunderstood, don't we? We want to be understood. We don't want to be misunderstood. But his fate taps into this universal fear. What if people don't believe us, no matter what we say? I'm not like that. You see, isn't that interesting? Maybe I quoted Shakespeare earlier, methinks thou protest too much. Maybe it was better for him to just shut up. Anyway, Maupassant's genius is he turns an everyday action, a simple thing like a picking up a string, into showing human cruelty. That's what's demonstrated, besides other themes in this story. All with something as simple as a piece of string. So calling all readers. That's my ending. Calling all readers. That's a piece of string in 10 minutes. It's a 20-minute read. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But why go even deeper into the storytelling with me? Because I don't just read it. I read it with gusto, right? And you can find me on YouTube. You can find me on the website, which if you're reading this 10-minute summary, you're probably on my website. Because what I'll do is I'll read and I'll analyze every ironic twist, every painful moment for this poor guy. Because one of the things you'll have to decide is the guy who accused them of taking the wallet, did he really mean that? Did he do it on purpose? Or was he just stupid and he thought he picked up the wallet? See, there's a lot of evidence that you'll have to judge by. So what I'll try to do in my reading is bring this to life. So here's your question. What matters more to you, truth or what people believe? We can talk about perceptions versus reality all the time when you read with Jimmy. What matters more, truth or what people believe to be true? Is there a difference? Think about that. So if you want another classic broken down, Jimmy at readingwithjimmy.com, Jimmy at readingwithjimmy.com. And thanks for listening to The Piece of String in 10 minutes. Before you go, this is what it'll look like on the website or on YouTube. The QR code over here on the right we'll scan that. It'll take you right to my YouTube channel so you can listen. Some people like to listen like podcasts. The story is a 20-minute read, but the analysis is about an hour, a little over an hour. Well, Jimmy, why does it take longer than an hour to analyze a 20-minute story? Because there's lots of layers to this story. So thank you so much and enjoy, and be careful what you pick up because you never know who's looking at you. So, So don't pick up that penny you see on the street. No, go ahead, whatever you want to do. Thanks for listening.